Hey, it's Nick Cruiser. I'm down here in my RC pit area with my Traxxas Slash 4x4. And the last time you saw this, I was out running it in the snow. Something stripped in the gearing region. I have no driveline power anymore. So I'm going to start taking it apart, take the rear bulkhead off, and dig down into the gearing and try and figure out what happened. And once we get it open, then I'll be putting in some of these parts that I talked about before. The hot racing aluminum motor plate, bigger bearing, the heavy duty slipper pad, some of the other telemetry upgrades. Alright, this is what we found so far. The spur's totally stripped out. That's not right. Let's tear it all apart and see why, and we'll get upgrading it. I just took the rear bulkhead off. Look at all the debris. Look at all the debris that's in here. I think the slipper pad system just like completely exploded. I'm not entirely sure what we got going on here. All right, let me get it a little bit more undone and we'll take a further inspection. Okay, so I've got the slipper assembly out. As you can see here, the spur gear completely melted and broke around the whole inside ring, which is really weird. And this doesn't look too bad. This blue piece here, that's actually an upgrade. Stock one is plastic, and I melted that. Yeah, weird. But I have a feeling the actual root cause was this plastic motor mount. Look at how much it has worn and melted and been wearing. So the bearing that was in that kit and the motor mount just completely fried, and then everything got all loosey-goosey and everything started moving around, fell apart. Okay, I've run into my first kind of roadblocker here. So this is the, I guess I'm just going to call it the lay shaft, but this is what the slipper and spur and everything sits on. And this broken piece of metal here is actually wedged onto the shaft. It slid back, and that's why it had been burning into the rear of the motor mount, is because the actual, I don't know what you would call that, the slipper plate actually moved. So I have the e-Revo version to replace it. It's quite, I'm sorry, I broke it and then threw parts away before I remembered that I was filming stuff. This one is quite a bit physically bigger than the stock one. Problem is, I can't get this off. So I'm going to keep working at it, but if I cannot get this, if I can't get this off the shaft, I may have to go and buy a new shaft, because really that's the only thing that's stopping me from starting the rebuild. Alright, I was able to do it. I was smashing it down onto the cement floor a bunch of times with the pliers, and I was able to bash it off. So now that I've finally got all the old broken parts off of this shaft, and it looks to be okay. I mean, it's a little bit scored, but I think it's usable. I'm ready to start on I'm going to do an e-Revo slipper clutch rebuild upgrade. So I'm going to upgrade the slipper clutch system from the stock Slash 4x4 up to the power of the e-Revo, which is rated for, 6S power instead of 3. So the parts you need for that, 5351, and you need a 5352R. And then if you want telemetry, you need a 6538 for the magnet and ring. I was videoing this slipper repair, and I had the wrong spur gear. This is the 3956R was what I had in my parts bin. It's wrong. This is the center differential spur gear. The hole is way too big. It doesn't line up with any of the holes. So I had to pause and go to the hobby shop today, and I picked up the proper gear, 3956. The other thing I wanted to show you was how much bigger this e-Revo slipper clutch assembly is that I'm putting in. That's the friction pad there, and here is the stock size, just as an example. Okay, we're partially completed here. The e-Revo slipper pads and heat shield is on and all that stuff. And I actually had screwed it in, but then I remembered, oh yeah, I'm also doing telemetry while I'm at it. So instead of putting these, what do they call that, button head? Instead of putting those 3 screws directly onto your spur, I have to put this plate on. And this plate has these little countersunk holes. They match up with the spur, and you slip that over, line up your holes, and also this little pocket that's up in here, that's to install a magnet. So in the middle of all these screws, so they give you these new countersunk screws, different lengths depending on what your vehicle is. But there's that super strong neodymium magnet that's grabbing onto everything. It's right here. So I need to put this magnet into the pocket of that little cover and get it all buttoned up. I think I have it hooked up right. So eRevo slipper system. I'm using the telemetry plate with the neodymium magnet. I've got the aluminum bushing, spring, slippers tightened, and I've got the end piece on. That should do it. Alright, make sure you read it properly, because that shaft, this shaft has 2 holes. You have to put the pin in the very last on the outside hole in order for everything to function properly. So you don't get that information with your eRevo slipper clutch system. So from a tolerance perspective, whoops, goes the other way. What am I doing? Whatever. We'll get it all in, I'll show you. At this point, the aluminum motor mount is in. I also have the RPM sensor installed. Now I've got my beefed up heavy duty eRevo / slipper ready. I have to install the shaft, but I just want to show you that, pop that in. Ready to go. It's got the magnet on the spur, and it's got the reader right here for the RPM, but I got a problem. It's not going to work. So I was kind of stupid, and I installed this RPM sensor quite a long time ago before I was ready, and yeah, it's got a split in it. So I'll probably have to fix that wiring before it will work. Anyway, I'm going to leave it hooked up. I should be able to just cut it, I don't know, maybe try and splice them together. It's really thin wire though. It's annoying. Alright, at this point the motor's in, the new Hot Racing aluminum motor mount, the spur, all the telemetry and stuff. I have temperature sensor, RPM sensor, voltage sensor, and what's the other one? There's a 4th one. Oh, I guess it gives you speed. Yeah, it'll give you speed later. It'll do a calculation for that. Anyway, I've got my mesh set, and seems extra noisy now, but things aren't quite buttoned up yet. I think I've got the mesh set right, but time to button it up and see if I strip it out or if it's good. Alright, at this point it's done. It's running, and it's currently doing actually firmware upgrades. So I wanted to see if the sensors are working. It's currently in the middle of a TSM receiver upgrade. But up in the air, everything was functioning, and that fan is a little bit wonky, but you know, that's to be expected based on what I've put it through. Alright, so I haven't been able to check to see if the sensors work yet, but we're about to try. Alright, here we go. Traction slash 4x4 with a full set of paddles being tracked by the DJI Osmo. Oh shit, it's way faster. Oh my god, it's amazing. Wow, that's dangerous speed. Oh, I broke it. I broke it already. Ah, rear bearing carrier.